My name is Trinity. I'm 11 years old and I have juvenile idiopathic arthritis. Some of my hobbies are drawing, horse riding, guitar, and I enjoy playing cricket.
Trinity was 2 years old when she was first diagnosed with juvenile arthritis. The first symptoms, looking back, I think were she would complain of sore toes. At that age, she had very limited vocabulary, so she would reach up her hands and say, "Sore toes, mummy," and she wanted us to pick her up and carry her. And that's when we first realised there's something wrong. We took her to the GP a few times, and they couldn't see anything obvious, and they would just send us home again. So it wasn't until a few months later, when she had an injury to her ankle and her ankle swelled up, that we realised there's something wrong here. Again, to start with, we just thought it was the injury, and it was only after they ruled everything else out. They x-rayed her ankle and they put her foot in a cast, and it was after that didn't improve things, so that's when they realised she had juvenile arthritis.
So sometimes my arthritis hurts. Usually it hurts in my jaw, like on the left side, but sometimes a bit on the right. And sometimes my hips, they ache a lot and hurt. And also sometimes my feet and my ankles and stuff. Sometimes I find it hard to write in lessons because of my arthritis, because sometimes it hurts my hands. And it's also in PE, sometimes I have to sit out, even if it's something I really want to do, which is quite sad.
We could see it in her face, we could see it in her personality, how it changed from being very outgoing and very bubbly for a while, but she became very withdrawn into herself and she wasn't her usual self. And so she knew she was in pain, she knew there was something wrong, but she couldn't understand what or why it was happening to her. So when we started her treatment and the medication and physiotherapy, we told her she had arthritis, and we just said, this will help it make it better. So she was very receptive to that. She was actually amazing to start with her injections, and she would wait every week on a Friday. She would say, "I'm ready for my injection," because she knew it would help her and she trusted that it would help her. The challenges came more as she grew older, and she forgot the original pain that she was in, where the medication was working, which is a good thing, but she forgot how bad her arthritis had been, and that's when the injection itself became an issue.
I have to have injections with my medicine every week, and an anti-sickness medicine beforehand, because sometimes it can make me feel a bit sick. And I also have to do some physio exercises and some stretches that my doctor told me to do.
When it's injection day, one of her brothers made her a distraction box with lots of activities and toys in there to take her mind off the injection while she's having it. Her older brother, who loves computer games, will distract her with a computer game that she can play while she's having her injection. So everything they've done has been motivated by wanting to support her through her JA journey, really.
Back when Rebecca was diagnosed, there was no effective treatment for juvenile arthritis other than pain relief, which wasn't very effective, and anti-inflammatory drugs that were not very good at reducing inflammation. Nowadays, Trinity was offered DMARD straight away, so methotrexate, which has an impact. I know it doesn't work for every child, but we know there's a ladder of treatment available, different biologic drugs, different treatments that are available, and they've made a huge difference to prevent that long-term and permanent joint damage, and to protect eyes for uveitis as well. And it makes such a difference.
I think the doctors understand so much more about it nowadays as well, and they know the importance of awareness and prompt diagnosis and starting that treatment early. We understand a lot more about the importance of physiotherapy, so keeping all those joints and muscles strong through physiotherapy. When you're first diagnosed with juvenile arthritis, as a parent, you don't know what what the norm is. You don't know how effective that treatment's supposed to be. So actually your child might still be in pain, but you're accepting that as part of their condition. And actually I would say, no, go back to your doctor. If the medication isn't effective enough, you need to tell your doctor so that they can look at what else can be done, because a child or young person should not be living in constant pain these days. With everything that's available to them, there should be options that can be tried through discussion with their doctor. At the moment, I feel Trinity's doing fairly well with her mental health, but there have been times that it has been really difficult for her. That is often linked to either when she's had a blood test that hasn't gone well, because her veins can be quite difficult to find, and there was one horrible occasion it took 14 attempts to get blood from her, and in the end they had to give up on that occasion and she had to go back the following week. So those sorts of experiences, I think they take their toll on her and they do impact on her mental health. Her weekly injections, when she sees there's no end to them in sight and she thinks this is my life forever now, I think when she realised that was the case, that really impacted her, and she was just very fed up for a while of having to have the injections every week. I suppose it depends what's happening in her life. When there's issues at school, perhaps, with people not understanding, that can have an impact. So it's just something we have to be very conscious of and aware of, and if any issues arise, we try and nip them in the bud and try and resolve things before they escalate.
Trinity's just started her secondary school, and in the lead up to that we were very aware that the move from primary school to secondary school is a big change for anyone to go through. But if you've got JA, you've got this extra layer of things that you want people to understand, and things that people at your new school need to understand. So we were very fortunate that her new school have been hugely supportive of Trinity, and we've met with their specialist teachers who can help, and we've met with them several times over the summer. And Trinity's had extra transition days to help with the move from primary to secondary school, so she can get to know the teachers, get to know the staff, and they can get to understand what her JA is and how it impacts her and what they can do to help. And they've been really, really fantastic, and they're putting things in place, making those small adaptations, making sure that Trinity knows where she can go to the key members of staff who know more details, so that she knows who to go to if she's got any troubles or worries, knowing that they can then support her in advocating for her with the staff who might only see her once a week or once every 2 weeks. But her JA can affect her learning, and there's I think 2 or 3 main ways. One is when she has a flare and a bad day and she's not physically able to get to school, or when she gets there she's not able to access all the lessons because she's fatigued or she's in pain or she's struggling. And the second is when she's got hospital appointments, because no matter what time of day your hospital appointment is, if it's in London, which is an hour and a half's drive from here, that's going to be most of your school day. She won't be at school. And the school have been really good at putting things in place to try to make that work. So they've got remote learning now, which has only come about, of course, in the last few years, but there's ways that she can access lessons, and she's got the email addresses of teachers that she can email to say, I've missed your lesson because, and they can help set the work and help her catch up. They've got facilities for her to be able to have extra tuition in those subjects that she misses at lunchtime or break time, so that she's not falling behind. And then there's the small adaptations that she needs. So she has JA that affects her hands and her wrist. So writing a lot really hurts. So the lessons where she has to write a lot, she's now able to type on a tablet computer. And actually she's able to type faster than she can write. So that takes the pressure off her, so she can just get on with the creative writing, rather than knowing that if she writes for too long, it's going to hurt. So with adaptations and the support of a school that understand, it can make the difference between someone being able to access education and falling behind and struggling. I firmly believe, and I know you do as well, that raising awareness is the biggest single thing you can do to make a difference, because it will help speed up that diagnosis, get earlier treatment, have better outcomes, and it supports a child and their family within the community as well, because it takes away some of that stigma, because they're not the only ones who know. Everyone around them knows, and they're better able to be integrated in society and supported in the way that's right for that family.
And for that child or young person who has JAA, they feel far less alone if they know there are others out there as well that have the same condition, and that happens through awareness.
One of the things that we've done since starting a patient organisation is one of our aims of that organisation is to raise awareness that children and young people get arthritis. So one of the things we've got is a campaign called Think JIA. There's a website, posters, postcards that can go out into communities, go out on notice boards, to GPs, to pharmacies, anywhere where there's people, and it just highlights that children and young people can get arthritis.
I think something that's really important for people to know about JIA is that sometimes like I can be completely fine and not in any pain, and then like a few minutes later I can be in a lot of pain. And I think this is quite important to know, because then you can try to not overdo it, but also because I think it's important for other people to know, because like people sometimes like accuse me of faking it, because I can be fine and then like 1 minute and then in a lot of pain the next.
Our dream, I think, or my dream would be that you could stop anyone in the street and say, do children get arthritis? And they'd say, yes, they can.
Well, yes, of course they can.
Yes, of course they can, yeah. And they'd be able to tell you what the signs and symptoms are, what you need to do to get referred, who you need to see, and that through that we can improve diagnosis times and reduce delays and end up with children who are getting the right treatment that much sooner. That would be my dream for raising awareness, is to say that anyone you stop, when you say, can children get arthritis? Yes, they can.